Hey, welcome. Today we're diving deep into one of the biggest, most stubborn problems in AI. It's memory. I mean, we've all seen AI do incredible things, right? It can write poetry, it can code, but have you ever asked it to remember a tiny detail from the start of a long conversation, only to have it completely forget? Yeah. So how do we build an AI that actually remembers? Well, a brand new architecture called Atlas might just be the answer.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the AI memory gap, why these systems forget in the first place. Then we'll look at the two, kind of flawed ways we've tried to fix it so far. And that'll set the stage perfectly for Atlas, a much smarter strategy. Of course, we're going to put it to the test and see the results. And finally, we'll wrap up with why any of this matters to you and me.
All right, let's get right into the heart of the problem. For all their amazing power, modern AI models have a surprisingly bad memory, kind of like a short attention span.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You're deep into a chat with an AI, maybe you're brainstorming, and you bring up something you mentioned pages and pages ago, and you just get a blank stare. It's not just a little bug. It's a symptom of a much deeper problem in how these things are built.
See, the real challenge here is getting an AI to read, understand, and remember something long, like a whole book or a dense legal contract. To do it, our current models either slow down to an absolute crawl, or they just start forgetting crucial information, and that really puts a ceiling on what they can do for us. So to get around this memory problem, researchers have pretty much relied on two main strategies. You can think of them as two different students, each with their own unique way of studying, and, as we'll see, each with their own serious flaws.
On one side, you've got transformers. These are the super accurate, meticulous ones. Why? Because they literally reread everything that's come before for every single new word they see. The catch, with long texts, they become painfully slow and ridiculously expensive to run. Then on the other side, you have modern recurrent neural networks, or RNNs. These guys are lightning fast because they only update their memory based on the latest piece of info. The trade-off is, well, they lose the plot pretty quickly.
So the transformer is that kid in class who, for every single test question, goes back and rereads the entire 500-page textbook from page 1. Yeah, they're going to get an A+ for accuracy, but they'll probably be the very last one to finish the exam if they finish at all. That's the transformer's big problem.
And then there's our other student, the modern RNN. Super fast, super efficient, but by only looking at the very last note they scribbled down, they completely forget the important context from chapter 1. They miss the connections, the big ideas. And that's the fundamental weakness right there.
And this is where Atlas strolls into the room. It's designed to be that student who finally figured it out. It's not about studying harder, it's about studying smarter. It manages to combine the pinpoint accuracy of the transformer with the speed and efficiency of the RNN, and in doing so creates something totally new.
Now, Atlas pulls this off with a really clever three-part strategy. First, there's something called the Omega Rule, which basically teaches it to read in chunks, like paragraphs, not just word by word. Second, it uses polynomial mapping, which you can think of as giving it a much better notebook for taking notes. And third, it has the Muon optimizer, which is a way better method for reviewing and organizing all those notes. You put these three together, and it's a total game changer.
So, let's break that down. With the Omega Rule, instead of stopping and updating its memory after every single word, Atlas takes in a whole chunk of text at once. It processes that whole chunk and then updates its memory based on the context of the entire thing. So it's not just memorizing words anymore, it's actually understanding paragraphs. Next up is polynomial mapping. Okay, the name sounds super technical, I know, but the concept is actually pretty cool. Think of it like this. It gives the AI a way to store information way more densely. It can create richer, more complex connections between ideas without needing a bigger brain, so to speak. It's not about having more memory, it's about using the memory it has more intelligently. It's all about quality over quantity. And finally, we have the Muon optimizer. So if the Omega Rule decides what to remember, and polynomial mapping decides how much complex stuff it can store, the Muon optimizer figures out the best way to organize all that information. It's a really advanced technique that helps it manage its memory, so it avoids getting stuck on bad ideas and finds the absolute best path to storing and retrieving knowledge.
So the theory is fantastic. It sounds brilliant. But does this whole study smarter method actually get better grades on the test? Let's take a look at the results.
And wow, this chart just says it all.
This is a test designed to push AI memory to its absolute limit. We're talking a context of 10 million tokens, which is just insane. The previous champion, a model called Titans, basically just gives up. Its accuracy completely falls off a cliff. But Atlas? It just sails right through, holding on to over 80% accuracy. For anything involving long documents, this is a massive leap forward.
But here's the thing, it's not just about playing a game of memory. In a direct head-to-head competition on common sense reasoning, an Atlas model with 1.3 billion parameters handily beats a similarly sized transformer model. And that proves that having a better memory doesn't just help you recall facts, it actually helps you think better. So, if you had to boil it all down, what's Atlas's secret sauce? Well, it's that flexible way it memorizes context, its super smart memory management, and that dense, nonlinear memory capacity. And the craziest part? It does all of this while staying as fast and efficient as one of those old-school RNNs. It really is the best of both worlds.
Okay, this is all fascinating stuff for a research lab, but what does it actually mean for us in our day-to-day lives? Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here.
A better AI memory unlocks a completely new generation of tools. I want you to imagine a personal assistant that actually remembers every single detail from that project you worked on 6 months ago, or a research tool that can read thousands of pages of legal documents and find that one critical piece of evidence, or even a financial AI that can analyze decades of market data to spot a pattern that no human ever could. That's the future that architectures like Atlas are making possible.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. We are on the cusp of moving from an era of AI that forgets to an era where it can remember, well, pretty much everything. So if you had an AI that could read an entire library and perfectly recall every single detail, what incredible, world-changing problem would you ask it to solve first? That's the door that Atlas is starting to open. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.